So in the fourth unit, it is all about implementation technique, meaning how you are going to implement or how you are going to save the file in the storage devices. Okay, so that is what the main concept here in this particular unit. So here, the first topic is RAID, and then the followed by file organization, and then organization of records in file. So before we really talk about what do you mean by RAID, and first we need to understand the internal structure and then internal architecture, maybe the format in which how the data is been saved in the storage devices. Okay, see, for that we need to understand the clearly the storage devices functionality. Okay, that is what we are going to discuss in this class. And here the classification of physical storage media. As you know, when you use computer or laptop or any other computing devices, certainly we need a different type of storage devices. Okay, so in general, in the system, when you use a computer, for example, in the computer we'll be using different type of storage devices. Okay, so here the storage devices or your physical storage media can be classified, can be categorized based on some different features. Okay, so suppose you have the primary storage, and then if you have the secondary storage, and based on the certain factors, based on certain characteristics, you can classify the storage devices. Okay, so what are the basic and important uh, classification criteria or the features we can consider to classify the physical storage? Obviously, the first one is the speed. Okay, so how much speed the storage device can perform. Based on that, we can have a classification. And then the cost per unit of data. Maybe this particular feature may be given less important, but again, this is also included. Okay, so the size of the storage devices you'll be able to purchase based on some amount. Okay, then the third one is we are going to talk about the reliability, right? So among the three at present situation, among the three features, if you are going to classify the physical storage devices, you can give higher priority for speed and reliability. Okay, so nowadays you'll be able to get terabytes of hard disk and then storage devices with nominal cost. Okay, so even RAM also with maybe 10 GB or 5 GB 4 GB RAM with minimal and then competitive cost. Okay, so now the cost factor becomes somewhat less important compared to the other two, that is speed and then reliability. Okay, so based on these three important features, we can classify the storage devices. Reliable, as you know, so how far you can rely on a particular storage devices, that is how far you can save your data permanently or consistently. Okay, so that is what we are trying to say here is reliability. And the basic difference based on the reliability or the classification of the storage devices, you can have volatile storage and non-volatile storage. So these are the basic concept, maybe you would have studied already. And volatile, maybe you can see when the power is switched off, then you are going to lose everything. That is, all the data will be erased when your power is switched off, right? So for example, if you are shutdowning your system, then whatever the content available in the volatile storage, that will be erased, right? When you again switch on your computer, then maybe if you are working or if any process or any programs are there, that programs are going to come into the volatile storage. Okay, so as long as your system is on, then you'll be having certain data for processing, and then if the power is switched off, then all the data will be erased. Okay, that category of storage we call as a volatile storage. Mostly the primary storage device, that's the RAM, generally we use in the computer. The RAM will be the example for the volatile storage. And the non-volatile storage, there are different types of non-volatile storages are there. But even then, as a most important non-volatile storage, we'll be using in the system as a hard disk. Okay, so here the non-volatile, even if you switch off your system, then definitely the whatever the data that you are storing in the non-volatile will be saved permanently. Okay, so it is for permanent storage, right? So it includes the secondary and tertiary storage also, as well as battery backup, main memory. So maybe if your main memory is working on battery backup, so we have the laptop battery backup, right? So until you completely switch down or shut down the system, that particular the whatever the data is available in the RAM will be still available. Okay, but whereas when you say the secondary and tertiary storage, secondary storage, obviously we use hard disk as a secondary storage, maybe of any size, right? If your personal purpose, maybe you can use up to some 1 TB or 2 TB, and if it is in the server environment or in the other higher storage, and the architecture difference. Okay, suppose we are going for a SAN, that is storage area network, and then cloud, those type of environment, the storage architecture will be totally different. Okay, so so based on this, certain factors, we classify the storage devices, right? And the other type of storage we use in the computer is cache memory. We pronounce as cache. Okay, so cache memory will be residing between your CPU and then your main memory, and this cache memory is the fastest memory theoretically, or maybe in the practically also you can see it can perform faster than your RAM. Okay, so it is like a chip, integrated, that is IC chip, that is available in between your CPU and then RAM. Okay, it is also it is volatile. That means when you switch off your system, when the power goes off, then the content of the cache will be erased. Okay, so it is actually managed by the computer system hardware, right? And the other category is main memory. This is actually fast access. Compared to the secondary, main memory is the main memory or primary memory. Okay, so this main memory will be having more fast access, and you can just see the speed of the access of your main memory, that is tens to hundreds of nanoseconds. Okay, so generally it is too small or too expensive to store the entire database. Mostly, at the time of operating or working in your databases, so whatever the database or whatever the content you are processing it, those particular amount of data only you are going to have in the RAM or the main memory. Okay, remaining entire content of your database will be residing in your databases. Okay, in the hard disk, right? So here, even it is too small, but so at present, this is also not you can have quite considerable amount or considerable volume of primary memory in the system. Okay, so maybe except your bigger server environment, for normal usage, you can have more than sufficient amount of primary memory in the system, right? We are able to get some GBs of primary memory nowadays, right? So again, it is volatile, and content of the main memory or the primary memory will be lost if the for failure or system crashes. So maybe if the system crashes or if the system shut down or the power goes off, then obviously the content of your primary memory or the main memory will be erased. Okay, so that's what I told you. So example is your RAM. Okay, and so the another one more type of memory we can use as a flash memory. The flash memory maybe the another type of fast memory where you can save your data permanently, and here it is survives the power failure, and even you can save your data uh, in the flash memory permanently, right? So some of the other details are given in the flash memory, like when you can just write your data once and then you can erase it and then you can rewrite it again. Okay, so maybe your memory stick or memory card, your pen drive, okay, those type of devices you can just think of as a flash memory. Okay, so maybe it is actually working as equivalent to your main memory in the fast, right? And then other one is the flash memory. There are two types: NOR flash and NAND flash. Okay, there are two categories of flash memories are used. And magnetic disk, this is the most important storage devices we are using as a secondary storage for permanent storing. And here data is stored on spinning disk. Read, write, uh, read and written write operations are performed magnetically, and this magnetic disk will be performing the direct access. Okay, and then the data must be moved from disk to main memory for access and returned back to storage. So when you are working in the computer, whatever the data or whatever the file is available in the hard disk will be brought to RAM or your primary memory for process. Okay, so at the time of processing, whatever the content or whatever the data is available, which is permanently stored in the hard disk, will be brought back to the RAM or your primary memory for execution. Okay, once all your job is over in the system, and then the content of your, that is whatever the data is modified, everything will be permanently saved back to the secondary storage again. Okay, so it is actually supporting you for direct access, right? So there are certain storage devices mainly used for sequential access, but here you can do it in the direct access method. Okay, that means you'll be able to point to any particular sector or any particular point of your hard disk. Okay, we are just going to discuss what is the internal structure of your hard disk, and even it survives the power failures that we already said. Another category of the storage devices, optical storage. It is generally you can see CD-ROM, DVDs. Okay, and then there are different categories and different varieties of CDs are available. CD or DVD or DVD plus or W or OM, and then DVD plus or W rewritable. Okay, so there are different types of optical storage. Optical storage, it is actually using your optical device for storaging, right? That's why we call it a optical storage. We know nowadays even this is also become obsolete. Maybe you can use this optical storage for just writing some document or writing some software. Okay, so those type of things you can do with the optical storage, right? So maybe sometimes if you want to take it as a permanent backup, then you can use your CD or DVD as your storage device. And then the tape device, as we said, is the sequential access. Okay, we said the hard disk is the random access or the direct access, and whereas the tape type of devices will use the sequential access. That means you can go only in the sequential manner, right? So it is just resembles like our old tape recorders and video cassettes, right? So this is also a non-volatile. It uses a magnetic tape as your storage medium, and this is also a non-volatile and used primarily for backup purpose. Okay, so now this particular device is also becoming obsolete because people are looking for some other alternative and better way of taking backup, right? So maybe very rarely there are certain places people are still using the tape type of devices for taking backup. Okay, so maybe if you see the capacity, it reaches up to 300 GBs of size, and other details like you can save the data, and when you want to retrieve the data, you can retrieve in the sequential manner. Okay, maybe you can forward and you can go backward as well, right? And when you look at the storage hierarchy, this is the main storage devices and hierarchies we use in the system. The top one is cache memory. We already spoke about the size of the cache memory compared to the other memory will be less. And then the fast is in the top layer, it actually says it is fast. And then the least layer, the bottom layer is the speed wise, it is less. At the same time, size, you can see the top it is less and then the bottom is maximum. Okay, so in this way, you can just have the hierarchy of storage devices. And then as well as you can see the size and then the speed, okay, and then even the cost wise, right? This type of arrangement you can arrange. Cache memory, and next to that you have the main memory or the primary memory. Then next to that you have the flash memory, and then magnetic disk as your secondary storage devices, and then optical disk for taking backup, and then the magnetic tapes. Okay, so this is a simple hierarchy you can use in the storage devices. And here's the storage hierarchy. Maybe we spoke about this. Primary storage, it is fastest media but volatile. Cache memory or the main memory you can consider as a primary storage. Okay, so here you can see this particular simple slot or the diagram is your RAM. Okay, it is actually your main memory, right? And then the secondary storage devices, next level hierarchy, It is non-volatile, that is you can save the data permanently, and moderately fast access time. Compared to the primary storage, it is somewhat lesser in access, right? Speed is somewhat lesser, right? And then also called as an online storage, that is whatever the data you are processing, whatever the information you want to save, it can be saved online. Okay, this is what your secondary storage. It is actually your magnetic disk. Okay, that means your hard disk. So your hard disk will look like this. This is actually internal part of your hard disk. Okay, so your hard disk will be having inside, if you open this, you can see like this, will be in the circular form of disk. Okay, it is arranged in the that is one by one after the other, or one above the other. That is the first disk, second disk, and third disk, right? It depends on the capacity. We'll be having this type of disk structure, and this will be your read write handle. Okay, this is the read write, and at the tip you can see the read write header. Okay, we'll be discussing the cross sectional view of your hard disk in the subsequent slides. So this is how your internal hard disk there, right? And then this is what your magnetic tape. This is actually territory storage. Territory storage was mainly used for taking backup. Okay, so nowadays the territory storage, maybe you can even have better territory storage like in the cloud, and then SAN, right? So now we are in the next, the topic we are going to study RAID. RAID is also mainly used for as a territory storage. Okay, so that we will discuss when we talk about the RAID. And this is actually the cross-sectional view of your hard disk. This ARM assembly is there, and then multiple disks are there. So you can save the content on both the side, top and bottom. Okay, and then you have the read-write handle on both the side. Uh, that is, you can have the spindle, that is you can have the arm on the top as well as in the bottom, and at the end or tip of your arm you have the read-write header. Okay, so that this arm can move in the horizontal wise front and back. Okay, so that the read-write header can reach from the tip or the outermost track of your hard disk to innermost hard disk of your innermost track of your hard disk. Okay, so this is actually a track. Each and every hard disk surface is being divided into thousands and thousands of tracks are there. Okay, so we'll see some of the the numerical factors about this hard disk in the next subsequent slides. And the one particular portion of your track you can call as a sector. And in the logical wise, if you just form a structure like this along with all the disk available, suppose you have 3 disks in this diagram. So when you combine all the 3 disks with a same particular track, and then you can have a cylinder like format. Okay, it's like an imaginary part, right? And then we call this plate, like in the disk, as a platter. And you have the read-write header at each and every end tip of your arm. Okay, so this the center point, you have the spindle. It is actually rotating your disk with a very high speed. This is another view. You have the track, spindle, sector, and then cylinder, platter, and then read-write header. Everything is there. And this is how you can see the hard disk, internal hard disk more clearly here. This actually, it is bus. You have the wires to connect with your hard disk, and then you have your read-write, that is a disk controller is also inbuilt. Okay, so drive controller or the disk controller is there, and then you have your entire disk in this format. Okay, and so some more details about the magnetic disk. You have the read-write header, so positioned very close to the platter surface, almost touching. Okay, so reads or writes magnetically encoded information. So it can read and write the data from the surface. Okay, the magnetic surface. And surface of platter divided into circular tracks. That's what we saw. We just saw in the diagram, tracks. Okay, so there will be a possibility for 50,000 to 1 lakh tracks per platter. Okay, on the typical hard disk. Suppose if you take the one surface, okay, this is what we call as a platter. So in this one surface, you can have a minimum 50,000 to 1 lakh tracks like this. Okay, so you have the track, right? So similar to this, you can have 50,000 to 1 lakh tracks on one particular surface, right? So similarly, in the bottom side also you can have 50,000 to 1 lakh tracks, right? So maybe based on the how many number of disks you have in the hard disk, then you can have the number of tracks. Right? So each track is divided into sectors. So each and every track is divided into small portion. We call as a sector. A sector will be typically will be of 512 bytes. Again, this may vary based on your file formatting. Okay, so suppose if you format your disk with certain file format, based on the file format, the sector size may also vary, right? Thus, typically, the sector per track will be 500 on inner tracks and then 1000 on outer tracks. Maybe if you just measure the innermost part will be having very smaller circumference of your track. Okay, so you can see here, if your track is innermost in this particular area, then the track size circumference will be very less, so that you will be having less number of sectors here. Suppose if you say if you are in the outer edge of your disk, then the circumference of your outer track will be more. Okay, so that you'll be having more number of sectors there. Okay, that's what the range. You have the 500 to 1000 number of sectors per track, and then you have the read and write sectors. Disk arm will swing to position head on a right type. So whenever the your data is written in the disk, or whenever the data is being read from the disk, the particular disk arm will move accordingly to the particular block or particular sector. Okay, where the exact data is saved in the hard disk physically, and in that particular location, the read write header will move. Right. So that is why we are studying. So we need to understand the internal implementation. That is, whenever you save any file or whenever you save any data in the hard disk, internally how it is saving. Okay, so it is actually using the sectors or the block to save your content. Okay, and these are the other stories. The cylinder format, it is actually the how many number of tracks you are considering. Based on that, you can have number of cylinders. Okay, and so you have one more important element in the disk drive, that is disk controller. Okay, so maybe you would have studied in the system computer architecture. So whenever you have a particular device connected with your computer, and for each and every device you will be having a controller. Okay, suppose for example, if you use the monitor will be having VGA controller, and then if you're having your disk, and then there will be appropriate disk controller will be there, and then if you're using IO devices, there will be IO devices controller. Okay, so each and every devices that you have connected with your computer will be controlled by the appropriate controllers. Okay, so along with your device there will be a controller, right? So this will be acting as your interface between the computer system and then hard disk hardware. Okay, so you have the exact hard disk drive, and then the hard disk drive alone cannot interact with your operating system or your computer to work, right? So you need a special controller or special software combined hardware system to interact with your exact hard disk onto the computer, okay, or your operating system, right? So there the disk controller is there to control your IO operations with your disk. Okay, so then it is actually whenever it is going to read something into the disk, and then whenever it is going to do some operations with the disk, and it is just going to ensure the correct data by using the checksum concept. Okay, and the disk subsystem we can see here, all the disk, whatever how many number of disk you have in the disk drive, all the disk will be controlled by the disk controller. There will be different disk interface standards are used in the disk controller as well as in the disk hard disk. That is ATA range of standards. It is all specification. Based on the specification, the disk drives are made up of. Okay, so you have you can see SATA hard disk, and then ATA related hard disk, and then SCSI based hard disk, right? Some specific standards are used for interfaces. So based on that interface, based on that standard, the hard disk are created or manufactured. And here the other performance measures of the hard disk, how you can measure the performance. The first one is access time, right? So you can the performance of the hard disk can be measured with the access time. So access time includes two factors. One is seek time and another one is rotational latency. Okay, the seek time, it is just to time for to search something in the disk. Okay, so that means the time it takes to reposition the ARM over the correct track. So once the request is made from the system or from the computer, and the disk controller will inform the disk to locate the particular data or particular file in the particular sector or in the particular block. Okay, so that time, obviously the hard disk will take certain time to position its read-write header which is fixed in the ARM to the correct track or the correct block. Okay, so the another reason why the hard disk are a little bit slow, it is all with mechanical parts. Okay, so mostly you'll be having all the parts are mostly moving. Okay, so all mechanical parts, right? So for that, we need some time, right? So here there are other details are given. So what is the average seeking time, right? It is actually half of the worst case seek time. So maybe plus or minus maybe 50% and 50%. The off the period it will take, right? And then rotational latency. Rotational latency is how fast it can rotate, or the time it takes for the rotation. Okay, that is the time takes for the sector to be accessed to appear under the head. So rotational, actually it is related with the hard disk rotation, right? So there are two things. One is seek time. It is just moving your ARM. That is related to the ARM. Okay, the disk ARM. And the second one is rotational latency. That is time taken for the disk to rotate, and again to bring a particular requested block or the sector under the ARM. Okay, so both things are there, right? So only not only the ARM is moving, at the same time the disk is also rotating. Okay, so both are happening simultaneously, so that you can have the maximum access time. That means you can easily access your data, or you can very fastly access your data. Okay, so here the time takes for the sector to be accessed to appear under the head. This is also the probabilities average latency is off. Okay, so the typical disk, how much the rotational latency will be, about the speed will be 5,400 to 15,000 rotations per minute. Okay, so just see the speed of your hard disk rotation. It will be per minute. It will be about 5,400. It's very, very minimal. So you can reach up to 15,000 or somewhat. Even nowadays, the hard disk you can go beyond this 5,000 also, 15,000 also. Okay, right. This is what the topic, as an introduction, we want to discuss here. Okay.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.